live this way in the world, trusting 100% in the pearl of great price. May I tell you, it will not fail you. But you can't modify it. You can't hold back one little reserved thing. I'm speaking from experience. Not knowing that it was my own imagination that predicted accurately through the medium of the cards and the medium of the stars, I held back a little reserved note in my mind's eye when I found Christ. I would still have in my mind's eye my old horoscope. I could quickly arrange its progression. I would know the day and justify faith in it. So the rule of my second house, in conflict with the rule of my sixth, can't get the job. There's no money to it. It's all there. It's all in my mind's eye. I have to completely give it up and so tear up my horoscope in my mind's eye, it doesn't exist. I had to completely destroy it as a power that guided me. But I held it because I successfully foretold events for unnumbered people in New York City. I had almost the entire metropolitan crowd, the entire metropolitan opera, they came to meet. And I so believed in what I did, I predicted with conviction. It worked, and they were so sold on it. And then I had to have an experience one day to show me it was only my own intense belief in these little symbols that made them work. And I came into my friend's home that I taught her how to read charts, how to set them up. Her name was Carpenter, Norma Carpenter, and I taught her. And then, having retired from a teaching profession in Scranton, Pennsylvania, she had a small pension from the railroad where her husband worked, plus a small pension from her former job. So she eked out a living, but now she could augment it in a nice way by telling and reading charts. And I taught her how to do it. When I came to her place one day, she lived in a hotel. Norma was in tears. I said, "What's wrong, Norma?" Well, she said, "A man called me up. He was recommended by a friend of mine. And he was very eager to see me right away. He had this fantastic deal on. So over the phone before he arrived, he gave me his birthday, his hour, everything about it. And so I erected the chart. When he came, I told him I'm so convinced of this good fortune falling his way today that I can close the book on it. He said to me, "Mrs. Carpenter, if you're telling me the truth, I will give you $100. And she said so confidently, "Well, give it to me now, because it has to work today." And she gave me all the reasons which I knew. I told them to her. How it had to work today because of this transiting moon over these certain aspects of the chart. He said, "No, if it works, you will get it today, but I will not give it to you now." I said, "What's wrong with that?" Well, she said, I made up this chart from a bound volume of ephemerides. I was sitting at the open window, it's hot. And so I turned away, I was diverted, and when I went back, I didn't realize the wind had blown over the pages. And I erected a chart of a man who was born 10 years before this man. This man wasn't even born. And I progressed my chart from this horoscope made up 10 years before the birth of this man. I said, "Norma, did you believe it when you spoke to him?" She said, "Certainly I did." I said, "Forget it. Just completely forget it. It's done." I was in her room, her suite of rooms that night, around 8, when a Western Union boy came upstairs and delivered a check, a Western Union check for $100. And the chart was drawn of a man who wasn't born. He was born 10 years after this chart of a man. But Norma cannot sell that because she feels they all believed in me. She cannot buy the pearl of great price because she feels her only security is to get her little small check from the railroad in Pennsylvania and her small check from the schoolhouse in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and eke it out with this, so she cannot give up and buy the pearl. You've got to give up every belief in this world in a power outside of Christ to buy Christ. There is nothing but Jesus Christ. You either believe in him or you don't believe in him. And any little reservation for a rainy day, it'll rain. So you hold back the belief in stars. But I'm confessing, having done it so successfully over the years, I still carried in my mental furniture my chart. And so, you see, you can always justify failure. And as Blake said, self-justification is the voice of hell. I didn't know it. In hell, everyone is justifying himself. Well, what he does, if it's a failure, he justifies it. Gives you all the reasons in the world. But hell is not a place outside of earth, it's right here. So we are in the hell justifying failure. I couldn't do it because look at my Venus. And then as soon as Venus gets beyond the point where it interferes with me, but after I look at Mercury. And so there I go. And when in spite of Venus and Mercury something happens, oh, why didn't I see this? Or there it was all along. A man goes back and reflects and then again justifies. No, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. All that he had, not a few things. You can't just buy it with a few of the things that you will dispose of. Yet you can use it wisely and successfully, but you don't really possess him, that pearl, unless you buy him, and you can only buy him when you've sold everything that you have, and then buy him. And so that it's all out or nothing. So he who is not with me is against me. And I know it's the difficult thing, but is it worthwhile having? When you consider by having Christ Jesus, you are rising into a world of an entirely new order, where everything is subject to your imaginative power. You're not here at all. You're moving from the world of death into the world of life, when you find him and making one with you.